Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to a special Tuesday episode of the Steelers Preview. That's right, the Triumphant Trio is back, not on Thursday, because Thursday the Steelers play. It's Turkey Day here in the United States of America, Thanksgiving, so that's when they play Thursday night. Baltimore Ravens, Week 12. I didn't know if you guys knew they played the Ravens this week. I mean, Dave Schofield, it is Ravens Hate Week. How's it going, Dave?
Sucking in that sweet smell of, I'm sorry. I'm so used to doing that on Tuesday nights. I can't help it. It's, I guess I got to talk to you guys instead of my brother. So it's going well. Things have been absolutely crazy. I mean, you think the Steelers are trying to get everything together. I mean, between the website and the podcasts, Jeff, we've been going crazy.
It's been a lot. We'll just put it that way.
And
it's been a lot.
News and things like that. And Hall of Fame and Color Rush and roster moves and whew.
It's been a lot. Brian Anthony Davis, podcast producer. What's on, Brian? It's Ravens Hate Week. Get excited.
I love Thanksgiving week. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. I love Ravens week because it just gets me all pumped up. And you know what? Everybody in the live chat, they were talking about wouldn't it be great if they started the show off with Renegade? Remember in the Blog Talk days we used to? So yeah. Aaron T, 13 Aaron T, this is for you.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, mama, I'm in fear from my life, from the law, arm of the law. There you go. Even with the finger snaps. We actually used to do that on Blog Talk Radio.
Give me a hand signal or something.
Man,
Dave, you love it.
All right, we're good.
You know you love that stuff.
All right, so for those of you that are tuning in to hear some like hardcore football talk, we're gonna get there. But I want to start start the conversation with a little bit of Thanksgiving talk. Okay, Thanksgiving holiday's coming up on Thursday. Whether you're spending it either just with your immediate family or whether you're traveling, that doesn't matter. It's just the holiday itself. First question, do you all like the Steelers playing on major holidays? Because we all remember this Christmas Day game. They played on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I feel like back-to-back years. I remember those supposed to be the Watt Bowl down in Houston. That was Christmas Day.
They were Christmas Day back-to-back years.
Okay, you're right. Because I remember I was at my father's.
They had never played on Christmas, and then they had to twice.
Right, and then this is the third time that Mike Tomlin will have a team on Thanksgiving. They lost to Baltimore in, I think, 2013. That was the Jacoby Jones stepping on the field on the return game, and Emmanuel,
correct?
Yes, and Emmanuel Sanders dropping the 2-point conversion, which would have tied the game. But anyways. Guys, do you like this? Do you like having them on? I'll give you my opinion in a second. Brian, what do you think?
I used to always check Thanksgiving hoping that they were on. You know what? I kind of do. There's a part of me that just absolutely loves it. It disrupts things, but here's the deal. I'd much rather it be on Thanksgiving than a random Thursday in October that really disrupts things. And it's always going to be on a Thursday, so you might as well do it on Thanksgiving weekend. It is almost like a little bit of an extra bye late in the season, and they definitely need it this time since they lost their bye. You know, when you're playing on Thursday, you've got a 10-game break now.
Okay, Dave Schofield, do you like the holiday games?
Brian said something that was very key there. If they're going to play on a Thursday, it might as well be the Thanksgiving one. I understand that because then, you're not working the next day, most of us. I mean, I'm not. Other than, like kids don't have school, things like that. I like it to be in the night game rather than the afternoon games, although it is going to be anxious to wait that whole time. As Nap 1963 says in the live chat, I have to agree with him there. He says, as a season ticket holder, I typically hate holiday home games. I don't want to go to I'm not going to a game on a holiday. That's for sure. And as a fan, I enjoy it. But for someone that's doing this, yeah, it's working on a holiday.
I hate it. I can't. I hate everything about it because with my family, I talked about this on my Let's Ride podcast. It's going to run Wednesday morning. I can literally not tell you the last time I've watched a game with my dad or my brother. All three of us together will be together to watch this game on Thursday night, and it's. Thanksgiving's always the worst. Thanksgiving night, because you eat so much food, the tryptophan is going crazy, and you're sluggish. My dad's falling asleep on the couch. My brother's over there just sipping on whiskey, not paying attention. And I'm there trying to really focus on the game because I want to, but also I have to. And the Christmas games, really, I hated those because with young kids, you have to tell them like, hey, I've got to go be here for 4 hours. So you go play with your toys over there. I just hate that. I can't stand it.
My kids loved that.
Well,
they were like,
no, yeah,
Dad, you can watch the game. Just leave us alone. Let us play.
For me, though, I want to be the holidays to me, like last year, sitting back and just enjoying the football games with family and not having to worry about the Steelers playing and writing articles and doing post-game podcasts. People don't understand, like, what this is. It is a job. It is a job. And it does takes away from the holiday a little bit. But I would rather them play at night than during the day, because at least now, when we eat, it's a little bit earlier in the day. I have all that time to just sit and relax, but still, just my thoughts. Let's get this super chat here. $20. Thank you very much from Mrs. and Mr. Steelers. He said, hi, guys. It's such an exciting week. Thank you for shining a light on what brings us together when there's so much to divide us. Steeler Nation binds us above all. Let's beat the Wang Harbs. That's right.
Yep. Deflate the Wang.
Deflate the Wang. Heinz Field 2020. The Deflate the Wang tour. Okay, now here let's talk about Thanksgiving a little bit, guys. Best part of the meal. What's your favorite part of the meal? Now, the meal is not dessert. We'll get to that in a second. The meal is just your first plate. What's your favorite part? Brian, we'll start with you.
Stuffing balls. My mom makes these stuffing balls that are absolutely incredible. I was never a gravy guy. We're gonna get some jokes, but this is a serious thing. I'm a breast guy. I like white meat, and I don't even eat anything else. I mean, I'll only eat the part of the breast. So that is my favorite part. But you put a little bit of gravy on there, and my wife knows this because one year I freaked out at my mom's house because she did not have broccoli casserole. It's the Velveeta and the broccoli and the Ritz crackers on top. And not only that, she wasn't watching football. She had the dog show on. And everybody knows that Brian will freak out if the dog show's on and not the Detroit Lions. Usually it's better action with the dog show. But it's just NBC and Mr. Peterman from Seinfeld has ruined it for me because you just don't do that. You just don't put a dog show on to get viewers when you're going to have a game the other day, and you don't do that to guys or hardcore fans, whether you're a guy or a lady that just loves it. Don't put a dog show on. I had a brother-in-law. I mean, not my wife's brother, but way back in my starter marriage, he was like, "Oh yeah, the dog show's on!" Woo! I'm like, "Oh my gosh, kill me now!" But so. Really, I love my broccoli casserole. I love my turkey, and I love stuffing balls.
So, but the stuffing balls trumps everything else. That's your top.
Yeah, that's the top. Broccoli casserole is not far behind, but the stuffing balls are perfect. And my wife, poor thing, she has to make 2 stuffings just to make me happy because she makes some weird, crazy thing with apples in it and like crap. Oh. And I like. No, there's no raisins in there.
Because some people put raisins. I'm like, oh.
All right, Dave, let's go to you. Brian's giving us the full rundown.
Yeah,
let's go.
I was going to say good night, everyone. No, sorry.
That was his X factor for Thanksgiving.
Well, you're going.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Thanksgiving meal X factor. And my answer used to always be the stuffing, because Thanksgiving was the one meal that my dad would do the turkey and the stuffing. So we always called it my dad's stuffing. Doesn't matter if it's me or my brother. Either way, we try to make it similar, but that's just kind of what it is. But the more I go, the more I realize that yes, I love the stuffing. Yes, I love the turkey. Yes, I love the mashed potatoes. But none of it is anything unless you have the gravy from the turkey drippings. Not like giblet gravy. That stuff's nasty. Just where you make the gravy from the drippings of the turkey. That's the thing. That's what ties it all together to make it exquisite.
I'm a simple guy, but for me, it's my wife's cranberry relish. She makes this cranberry relish that's not out of a jar. It's not out of a can. She takes cranberries, oranges, apples, all. It's really, really good. It's obviously not unhealthy, so it's on the healthy side. So I can put it on everything. I love it. Kids love it. I'll take that over anything else. Dave, what do you think?
I'm allergic to cranberries.
Oh, good. We'll have you over sometime. All right.
Yeah.
How
All right.
about that?
All right,
Hey,
guys. What about
I've got to do it though, Jeff. I've got to
Gotta
ask.
do it.
No
No
tofurkey?
tofurkey. No. I don't know where you got that from. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. I'm like a carnivore. Actually, I eat mostly meat and organs and stuff. But that's a different.
I have
topic
to ask.
altogether. What?
Have you guys had turducken?
No.
Have
I've
you
eaten
ever had
duck. I've eaten duck and I've eaten turkey, but never together.
Well, it's the duck inside the chicken.
Right, I
inside
know.
the turkey. Yeah.
Yes.
But you didn't say you've had chicken. Yeah, I assume you've had chicken.
All right, next question, guys.
Wait,
Go ahead.
Brian did say, Brian, have you ever had turducken?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
My wife will never cook a duck because she had a duck as a pet.
Yeah. My sister got my dad one time, and so we tried it, and it wasn't anything all that special. It had a rice stuffing, so that kind of made it weird. Other than that, it probably would have been okay. So interesting. Just had to ask.
That's okay. That's okay. Let's go to, and that's funny because of John Madden. You know, the blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, you put the
Yeah.
Anyways, so you put the main dish aside, and here come the pies. What's your go-to pie on Thanksgiving? Because to me, my go-to pie changes depending on the holiday. Like my Thanksgiving go-to is different than, say, if there's a pie at Christmas time or some other time of the year. Brian, we'll start with you.
Apple.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not a big pumpkin pie guy, and everybody talks about it. I'll eat it, but I'll never order it. I'll never ask for it, but I'll have it. But if you ever had a caramel apple walnut pie, it's pretty amazing. Or just a traditional baked apple.
What was it? What was it again?
Like a caramel apple pecan or walnut pie or something like that.
Geez, that sounds interesting. I've never had that before. It sounds
It
interesting.
is. You know what? I know where to find one. And maybe about 30 minutes from here, I will grab you one. There'll be slices missing, but I'll grab you one.
Dave, what about you?
I am not much of a pie guy. I mean, I'll eat pie. What?
You're upsetting Brian.
No, I don't really care for pie. Like the best though, I make it and my brother makes it, so it's always arguing on who's going to make it. Is the upside down pumpkin pie, which isn't really a pie. It's like the pumpkin pie filling, but then on the top, it's basically a yellow cake mix with a ton of butter in it that makes this buttery golden crust on the top that you eat with Cool Whip. Because I'm not a big, I mean, honestly, I'd rather have like a graham cracker crust or something, like a chocolate pie, graham cracker crust, or cheesecake, but not much for a pie. But if I had to do one, it would be pumpkin for Thanksgiving.
In my house, that's called dump cake.
Yep.
My wife makes it. It's called dump
like
cake.
A pumpkin dump cake almost.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
which is basically the same thing.
It
depends on where you get your recipe from. Different people got everything. Some people, the person that gave it to me, they said it's an upside down pumpkin pie. I'm like, I'll say it's a pie, but it's really pumpkin dump cake, and it's amazing.
It's good. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, pumpkin pie. When I was a kid, I could probably have eaten an entire pumpkin pie. Like, I don't know, there's something about it, and I don't eat a lot of Cool Whip either. Like, some people in the live chat are like, "Oh, you need all the Cool Whip." I like Cool Whip on it, but honestly, my mom actually has an award-winning pie that she makes. It's a rhubarb custard pie, and it's amazing. I mean, there's no other way. My great grandmother taught her how to make it. And my mom does it every year. She's already made them. She sent my brother and I pictures as they're getting ready to travel tomorrow. And so we're like, oh man, there they are. The rhubarb custard pies are out. She already made the pumpkin pies too. So absolutely. The funny thing is pecan pie. I didn't have pecan pie until last year.
Good.
Last
year. And I wasn't impressed.
Honestly, it's really good.
It's not for me. Not for me.
If you take the pecans off of it, I don't like the pecans on the top. I like the other stuff in the middle of the crust. That's good.
You take the pecans out of the pecan pie.
I'm not really
then it's a pumpkin pie.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
just called pie.
Sugary stuff. Yeah. So,
oh my gosh. All right.
There are two things in this world that I have a mild allergy to, which makes like my throat swell and scratch and stuff, and it's cranberries and pecans.
Well, there you go.
And we've talked about both of them tonight.
Nice. All right, I saw someone in the live chat say, "Oh, so this is a cooking show now." Lighten up, okay?
No,
Come on.
it's Thanksgiving. We're gonna have
Thanksgiving. We'll wait till we'll do the end. We'll do that at the end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some I guess this is it. I don't like to see this news, but obviously the news this week was with the Baltimore Ravens testing positive, and the big names that you need to know. Okay, the players that are definitely out for this week: J.K. Dobbins, running back; Mark Ingram, running back; Pernell McPhee. Is it McPhee?
Yeah,
He's in pass rusher. He's out. Brandon Williams, nose tackle, which we weren't sure if he was even going to play because he was injured and missed the last week's game. He's out. They have a practice squad player who tested positive, and also the third string quarterback, the kid from McSorley from Penn State. I think that's it. Am I missing anyone, Dave? Those are the 5 positives and the 1 high risk close contact.
Let's just say this. Hasn't tested positive yet, but this was, they didn't practice Tuesday. So this is our estimate. But Derek Wolfe, the defensive end, both days on the injury report due to illness. So on a short week, I think he's going to be could possibly be another, Ant Mac, J-Ron Elliott situation.
I wonder, Dave, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this. I wonder if the National Football League has sent out a memo saying, look, if you have someone that is displaying any type of symptoms, they're not in the facility, they're not around, and they're probably going to miss a game. The Steelers, it looks like that's what they're doing. I'm not sure. Do you think that's an NFL policy in this new extensive protocol that they're in? Dave,
I don't know if it's a policy. I think it might be a strong recommendation. I mean, after why is it suddenly escaping me? The cornerback, Marlon Humphrey, right?
Yeah. Humphrey was right after the
Steelers played him. And even Vance McDonald. They don't want those kind of situations. You knew with Anthony McFarland, when he missed due to illness for 2 days, that he wasn't going to play. But he never ended up on the COVID list. Then Kevin Dotson missed 1 day due to illness and has been on the COVID list ever since. So
J-Ron Elliott is still out with an illness.
He was back today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he practiced today.
Yep. Well, all right. What about you, Brian? Do you think the NFL is telling them, hey, if they're sick, don't even think about it?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know who all is listening. I think inside locker rooms, until you really clamp down, I don't think it's going to be as tight as you're going to see it. Because look, it wasn't tight in Tennessee, and they didn't even get. They got a $250,000 slap on the wrist, or $350,000, something like that. So unless someone really clamps down, they're not going to take it completely seriously.
I do want to say that there was an article that was written, I want to say by NFL.com, that the chief medical, I think David Sills is his name. They have been in conversations, the National Football League, with all these other professional field sports. So we're talking Major League Soccer, we're talking overseas, we're talking Australian rules football, rugby, Premier League soccer, you name it. If it's outside, they've all been talking, because all those leagues they're playing. Okay. And from what I read, there are literally there have been 0 cases on any of those sports, transmission from one team to the next during play. 0.
That's the whole notion of it's never crossed the line of scrimmage.
Right. So because of that, a lot of people are, and this is not just in the live chat, this is on Twitter right now. They're like, oh, the Ravens better not get the Steelers, bring it into their locker room. Whether that can happen or not, the data that they have now says that it's not going to happen. It's why they don't want them congregating at midfield after the game. It's why, and honestly, what I recommend a lot of you doing is, if you haven't yet, go to YouTube and just search Chase Claypool. He has his own YouTube channel. And he actually did a video, like the day in the life. And it was literally like three weeks that he compiled just short little videos, and he put them all together for a YouTube video. And you get a good glimpse of what life is like for these players. They're not in the facility that much anymore. They literally only go in for practice, treatment, workouts. That's it. They're not hanging around in the cafeteria. They're getting their food and they're leaving. They're not sitting in their stalls often together. unless they're doing some type of, hey, you have a Zoom call with the media, you need to sit down here. They don't have a lot of this stuff going on. Cam Hayward spoke to the media today and said that, honestly, he said, we used to play spike ball in the locker room. We can't even do that anymore. They were talking about bringing cornhole boards in
because they stand so far away.
And they're saying that they're not even sure if they can do that. He goes, we might have to just play a fierce game of words with friends. I mean, they're trying.
You missed that today, Brian. That was a great quote.
They're trying to get the cohesiveness of the locker room in the National Football League, and rightfully so.
Yeah. Rightfully
so. The NFL is saying, look, we need to get this season in. Like, we need to get the season in, and we need to do whatever it takes to get there. So I'm not sure. This is a tough thing, and the NFL is going to have to figure out if the Ravens have an issue. If tomorrow they have more positive cases and they decide to delay the game, which is a possibility. Okay, I'm not saying it's a strong possibility. It is a possibility that we find out on Wednesday that they bump the game back to maybe Saturday or something or maybe even later than that. I don't know. The Steelers would be rightfully furious if they did that. Absolutely furious on multiple levels. I'm trying to find Tony Defeo. There it is. Okay, someone had it.
I had it ready.
Good. Hi, Tony from Crafton, PA here. Do you guys think there's any way Thursday's game gets canceled at this late stage? I think there is still a chance that it does get postponed. I think there is. Chance.
Put a number on it, Jeff.
I would say the percentage chance is, I'll put it at 35%.
Oh, that's right.
Dave, what do you think?
I was going to say 30 or 40, so I would have settled on 35%. Yeah. I almost would have said 33%, 1 and 3. So that's a good one.
Brian, what do you think about the percentage? Would you say it's a good chance in your mind?
I'm going with 70%.
Whoa.
Yep.
All right. And do you all agree that the Steelers would have every reason to be pissed off if it does get moved?
Dude, did I just say dude?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'm sorry. I put this out there before. Not only would the NFL take away their bye week, they would take their mini bye. They would, this is, if they play on Thursday, they get the Steelers have had to look at this coming up as their best chance at a somewhat of a bye week following the Thursday game until they come back. That's going to be more of a bye week than what they actually got during their bye week. So now if they've already started to prep and then they'll have to continue to prep and not get that extra time in between, I mean, that's just now. And the biggest reason I don't think so is they've got to keep this game with NBC. This is going to be their biggest moneymaker of the year. And no better time is going to get them more viewers than Thanksgiving night. Not Saturday night, not Monday night, not whatever they would decide to do. That's going to get them the most viewers. They will fight tooth and nail to not move this game. The only way they will is if they have no other option, or else it's not going to be played.
What about you, Brian?
If Lamar Jackson goes down, this game's done. I'm telling you. They will not play this game without Lamar Jackson.
The NFL walks a fine line there between television ratings and then just playing the game the way it should be played. John Knox puts $2 in the tip jar. He says taking draft picks away will get teams' attention. I think personally, if you have what's deemed an outbreak, and they would have to define that in their own terms, the NFL should do an investigation, and they should figure out how in the world does this happen? Because if the protocols they've put forth are good enough, then it shouldn't matter. So we'll see. Dave, go ahead.
And the Ravens are not one of those teams that were that started the intense protocol on Saturday. They were like the Steelers. They've been in them for weeks. So the thing is, if I was saying this to Jeff before, if the only person with the contact tracing that they deemed to be high risk was Brandon Williams, other players should not be showing up positive unless they're getting together outside of the facility, which is prohibited in the intense protocol.
Yep.
So, or they are getting these cases just from the community. That's what it's going to really ultimately figure out.
Well, and it was said early on in this training camp even that the most disciplined team might be the team that has the best shot at winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because let's say this game is played on Thursday, Brian, and let's say that Lamar does play, but they're out 2 running backs, they're out a pass rusher, they're out their best run stopper. Calais Campbell might not play. The Ravens, I'm not saying they can't win with that lineup, but they're decimated. And Grayson Brown, who puts $5 in the tip jar, says NFL would lose too much money if the game gets canceled, COVID and all. I don't see it, to be honest. Oh, well, Ravens, welcome to the COVID schedule club. Steelers are I think they're charter members of that club, by the way. Go ahead, Brian.
So, Grayson, I saw your comment, and I was thinking about this even before you put it up. Actually, no, they don't lose too much money out of this, because if they start canceling games and they have to go ahead and, like they said, they add an 8th playoff team, what that could possibly do, and Dave and I have gone back and forth on this a little bit just because it has not been clear what they could do, but I have heard the possibility of going back to the 1982 style tournament schedule, 1 through 8, and nobody gets a bye. That gives you an extra game, and the NFL, if they have a chance to get an extra week on here and after get an extra couple playoff games, they make even more money. So that's why my tinfoil hat's on, because I just think the NFL would take this and make it a chance to make some money out of it.
Being a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the thought of having, right now they're vying for not the AFC North, they're vying for the number 1 seed. And right now, when you look at the playoff system and there's only 1 bye, and then all of a sudden, if they go to 8 teams and all of a sudden, let's say, I haven't seen the breakdown, and if it's out there, I apologize because I should know this. But if the 8 team is like you said, and everyone plays, there's no buys, holy cow, that would be deflating. That would be unbelievably deflating. And so the National Football League has a lot of tough decisions to go through. And we're going to find out on Wednesday whether this game is going to be played or not, because Baltimore's scheduled to travel on Wednesday to Pittsburgh. They're going to have a decision made before they get on a plane from BWI in Baltimore and head to Pittsburgh International Airport. Go ahead, Dave.
Something I brought up before, just to make sure, because I want to reiterate, because it came up. The biggest thing that I say about them not giving a team a bye is if that forces a team to have 2 or 3 weeks without playing at all. That's actually a disadvantage. Now, but like Brian also says, that means that's one more game you have to win along the way. And so I could kind of see it both ways. I want to bring up something, because this was brought up in our Slack channel before. This was someone, a comment that said Black Gold Goggles, and said Campbell was ruled out with a calf injury. That was a report on ESPN that Campbell had been ruled out. Everything from the Ravens themselves and from what Coach Harbaugh said hadn't definitely ruled him out, but they weren't necessarily expecting him to play. Do you guys, Brian or Jeff, do you know anything deeper on that front?
I only know what the Ravens have put out on their injury report, and they still have him as he hasn't practiced this week, but they haven't practiced this week. Yeah. It's all been if we were to practice, then he wouldn't have practiced. Yeah. I don't know what to think. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been hush-hush, and now they really don't have to do way too much on this. But the thing about it is, if he was limited before, and they feel that he has an injury, it's going to be pretty tough to see him in there. But you just never know with this team. This team is Harbs is very Belichickian in the fact where he'll skirt the line and he'll do whatever he can to try to confuse you up into the very end.
Wang, he's a Wang. That's why he's a Wang. Okay, let's do it this way. What I decided to do is the Steelers played the Ravens in week 8. Am I right?
Yes,
guys. Yes, week 8. So they've played 3 games since then. And so I went back, and you can hear a lot of these numbers on my Let's Ride podcast on Wednesday morning, because that's why I compiled these numbers for. And I was like, I want to look at these 3 games, because, this is a league of what have you done for me lately? And it's more along the lines of who's performing well. Well, if the Ravens are going to be shorthanded this week, and we know that they are going to be shorthanded in a lot of ways in terms of missing 2 running backs, and et cetera. Well, this game comes down to one player, and Brian, you already named him. You said if he goes down, they're not playing. That's Lamar Jackson. They're going to go as Lamar Jackson goes, and he hasn't been going great. That's why they've been struggling. One thing I didn't realize, and I made this mistake. I said 4-0 on the air on my Let's Ride. Did you know they're 4-1 on the road this year? They've only lost one game on the road, and that was in New England. I thought that was pretty impressive because most of the time they're rock solid at home at M&T Bank, and you get them on the road. That's when you beat them, and they're doing pretty well on the road. So keep that in mind. So in the 3 games that they played, 2 of them were on the road. They went at Indianapolis, at New England, and they hosted the Tennessee Titans last Sunday. They beat the Indianapolis Colts 24-10. They lose to New England 23-17 in a torrential downpour. And then they lose to Tennessee 30-24 in overtime. We know that. We talked about that. Lamar Jackson, in the game against Indy, went 19 for 23 for 170, passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Against New England, 24 for 34, 249, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Against Tennessee, 17 of 29, 186, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Now, running the ball, the first game, Indy, 13 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown. The second game against New England, 11 carries, 55 yards. The game against Tennessee, 13 carries, 51 yards. They went 1-2 in that stretch, and here's their averages. Lamar Jackson, during that time, he averaged 28 attempts per game, 201 yards. 12.3 rushing attempts for 54.6 yards. Their offense during these 3 games have averaged 21.6 points per game. Their defense has given up 21 points per game during these 3 games. So take that for what it's worth, guys. When you hear those numbers, what are you thinking? Brian, we'll start with you.
Well, what I'm thinking is that the National Football League has caught on to Lamar Jackson's game. There is enough of a sample size there. You can prepare for him so much more. You kind of know what to take away now with him. He has not changed. He is still the tremendous athlete he's always been. Athlete, bar none, the best. Passer, not so much. So what I'm thinking with Lamar is people are figuring him out. And maybe the Steelers found a way to expose him a little bit more, because those games you're talking about have been since the Steelers play them. So I would give credit to the Steelers.
Let me ask you this, Brian, before I throw it over to Dave. You think Lamar Jackson is good enough in Pittsburgh against that defense to say, put him on my shoulders, I'm going to go out and win this game for you? No Ingram, no Dobbins, doesn't matter. I got it. You think he's still that good?
He's that good, but he needs that supporting cast. And without that supporting cast, he's going to struggle because there's no element of surprise bringing out, they didn't have Ingram the other week when they played him in week 8.
Yeah.
They didn't have him, but you had that change of pace with Dobbins coming in. You had Gus Edwards, and then you throw in, oh my gosh, Lamar might run. Now you don't have that. You basically have Lamar and Gus, and that's it. And it's not as hard to figure out. So he needs that because he can't pass without these guys.
All right. Dave Schofield, thoughts on those numbers? Anything stick out like a sore thumb?
Yeah, the fact that their least amount of offensive output in the yards department is the one game since the bye that they've won. If you just look at their 4 games, include the Steeler game, since their bye, they're 1-3
against Indianapolis.
And then against Indianapolis, they didn't get the 300 yards.
The defense scored points that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because even defensively, it's the second it's like the second most yards they gave up on defense. So it's not even like they shut them down defensively. They did get, they got 2 takeaways on that one, but that's basically the difference there. They, I don't know. I mean, but I mean, think about it. If you look at that traditionally, before the season started, you were probably going to look and see that was probably their toughest stretch of games, including the following week when they play on Thursday against the Cowboys. But, that's not what it was. Now that the season started with no Dak Prescott, this is just, it's very interesting with this team. This is not your typical team when it comes to these kinds of stats and things of that sort. I don't really know what's going on with them. I really don't.
When you look at the numbers, it's very inconsistent. I mean, people want to talk about the Steelers' inconsistencies. No, the Ravens' inconsistencies are the Steelers times 10. because you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's the biggest issue that Ravens fans, we live in Maryland, that the Ravens fans have with this team, this offense, and with Lamar Jackson is that it's just so inconsistent. And it's because when you look at some of these games, for instance, I believe it was the Indianapolis game and the New England game, 58 yards and 55 yards by Lamar Jackson led the Ravens in rushing in those games. They're not running the ball like they were last year, where they averaged over 200 yards a game. That's a big thing. So
no Marshall Yonda.
Good point. Very good point. And now they're even down even more with Ronnie Stanley done. And and I think one of their linemen has been on the injured list, or not the injury report.
Well, yeah. I mean, they lost 2 against the Steelers.
Yeah.
They lost 2 starters against the Steelers. So if you noted, I mean, and then look what's happened since then. They've gone 1-2.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back first off, if you're on YouTube, don't go anywhere because we're not going anywhere. But if you're on the audio side, you're going to head over to part 2 on the podcast platform. We'll be back to talk X Factors, predictions, bold predictions, bougie, and we'll talk about more Thanksgiving stuff, I'm sure. So we'll be right back. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Jeff Hartman here, co-editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com for a special Tuesday episode of the Steelers preview with the Steelers and Ravens getting ready to lock horns on Thanksgiving night in Week 12. Joining me as always, Dave Schofield, the other co-editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, and our podcast producer, Brian Anthony Davis. Guys, I want to start this thing off with Grayson Brown. He gave us another $5. We appreciate it. He said, Steelers play Lamar the best of any team. Since realignment in 2002 to the AFC North, no team has won the division 3 years in a row. I don't see Baltimore winning. And with a little turkey emoji.
That was your stat.
Oh my gosh. I was screaming that from the mountaintops in Baltimore. I'm about to win. If the Steelers hold on and win the division, I win an easy $40 from 2 Ravens fans that I know that I said, I bet you $20 the Steelers win the division this year. And they said, oh, we'll take that in a heartbeat. I'm like, please do. Because I had an inkling that history doesn't lie. No team's ever won it 3 years in a row. And I had a feeling that Ben was going to come back and this team was going to be a lot more complete than anyone ever thought. But he's right. No team has ever won it in the 3 years in a row. The Ravens have won it the last 2. Time for a new team to take over, if I may say so myself. All right, let's go to X Factors here. All right, Brian, this scares me every time I say this. This scares me now. I have BJ Finney syndrome every time I talk about the X Factor. Let's talk about this upcoming game, the X Factor for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the player that you're really looking at to say they need to step up their game. Offense first. So, Brian, we're taking an offensive player that plays for the Steelers. X Factor, go.
Okay, I'm taking this from my partner from the Steelers pregame show. Here we go. Mr. KT Smith brought this up last week, and so I'm running with this. It's Vance McDonald. If he's back and he's playing, he's going to open up so much more for the Pittsburgh Steelers running game. If James Conner can get going against this team with no Brandon Williams on that line, without Pernell McPhee in that front 7, you might have a little softer belly there to go after. Vance McDonald is more known than anybody else for blocking. Now, he's no Heath Miller. We know that. But for what they have, you compare him to Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron is your hands man. This guy is your guy that is going to help that running game out more, and he's also going to catch maybe 2 passes in the game, but they're going to be valuable in this game. So Vanimal, number 89, mark it down.
All right. I like it. Thinking outside the box. That's what he does, folks. He thinks outside the box. That's what he does. That's why we pay him the big bucks. Dave, what do you think? Offensive X Factor.
I'm doing something because you have to do it. If this is where you're going, these aren't individuals. This is a group. It's the offensive line. It's the offensive line. Because, you got to still be able to move to where you can get the running game going some. We saw it at times on Sunday that when they're lined up and Ben's under center, or in this case it was Mason Rudolph under center, and they can actually fire out, move the line, the running game's going to get going better. But more importantly, they've got to protect Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, think about this. In the last 5 games, the only team to sack Ben Roethlisberger is the Cleveland Browns. Since the Cleveland Browns is The Baltimore Ravens, who are the Cleveland Browns in disguise.
Right.
I mean, none against Tennessee, none against Dallas, none against Cincy, none against Jacksonville, just the Ravens. So you got to protect him. You got to let him do his thing. And as long as the offensive line keeps doing their job, then the rest of the offense can get it done.
Okay, I'm split here. I could go in two different directions, but I'm going to go. It's going to be a Jimmy either way, but it's which Jimmy? I'm going to go with Jimmy Washington. All right, I think James Washington, and I'll tell you why. Juju Smith-Schuster's banged up, and the Ravens know he's banged up. Now he was limited today, and so that's a good thing. He's hopefully going to be able to play, but how well is he going to be able to play on short rest? He has a foot injury. Who knows if that's going to be a long-term thing? I don't know. James Washington might see his role increase this week, and he has to step up because if you lose Juju Smith-Schuster, the Ravens are smart enough. They're also talented enough. They have the secondary to be able to say, okay, Claypool and Deontay Johnson, we're going to give you all of our attention. And so that means that Washington might be getting those one-on-one matchups, and you have to win. Ben's got to trust him. He has to win. My other one would have been Jimmy Connor, because I think James Conner is going to – then this ties in with what Dave said. You got to be able to run the football. You have to run the football. And without Williams and possibly without Calais Campbell and without McPhee, you should theoretically be able to do that. So Felicia gives us $5. He said, since Lamar's a running quarterback and limited on players, if he runs and gets a PI call, I'm going to be – a personal foul call. I'm going to be pissed. If he's running a running threat, hit him as if he's running, treat him as a running back. Okay. I get that. I said this last time they played. He had a play on the sideline where he stopped and, did a little toe tap, and then he ended up going out of bounds. I think I tweeted this out and said, if he's going to do that, then the refs can't throw a flag if he gets ear hold, because if you're going to, stop on the sideline and try to make someone miss, well, he knows that the NFL is going to throw that flag every single day, period. It's frustrating. So anyways, Okay, let's go to defense now. Brian, it's a defender for the Pittsburgh Steelers going against the Baltimore Ravens. Who's your X factor on defense?
All right, I am going to give two just to help myself out here, just in case I'm wrong on who the backup to Joe Hayden is. So I'm going to say it's Justin Lane or possibly Cam Sutton. I'm leaning more towards Justin Lane. I don't think Hayden's going to play in this game. I know he was not at practice yesterday. I haven't completely seen today. I don't know how. I actually see them holding him out possibly. You guys can help me out on this. Am I wrong? Because I'm seeing your faces.
No, he didn't practice today.
Okay, so
Hayden did not know.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, it might be Justin Lane that has to step up, number 31. They might put Cam out there as well. They might split time there in his spot. So I would really think that one of those guys is going to have to come up big. And I really see every indication that a guy like Justin Lane can come up pretty big.
Well, speaking of that, just real quick, I think last week against Jacksonville, the one thing I noticed was, and this does not mean they'll do this against Baltimore when they actually have some prep time. Not a lot, but they'll have some prep time. It seemed like Cam Sutton was the outside defensive back for Hayden, unless they had their sub packages, in which case Justin Lane took the outside and Sutton took his usual role as the dime back.
Yes.
Will they do that again?
I think you're right. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Will they do that again? I'm not sure. They might say we don't want to move that many pieces around. That was just an in-game thing. We'll see. Keith Butler was asked today about Hayden. He said he's banged up. We'll see what he's like on game day. Like, that's literally how they're going to play this thing out. It's going to be a game time decision. So, all right, Dave, what about you? Defensive X factor.
I've got two. I'll just give one. I'm going with where I gave my game ball last week. I'm going with Tyson Alualu. He played 6 snaps against the Ravens last time before he got injured. And that made a big difference in the run game. It made a big difference in stopping the run this past week. And I think even, some the week before, remember, because he wasn't in there when they eased him in a little bit more against Cincinnati. Like he only played 19 snaps where he played 31 against Jacksonville. And with him being a run happy team in Baltimore, I see the Steelers in base more hopefully this week, which gives him more of a chance to show that he is the best nose tackle, 3-4 nose tackle in the NFL, hands down.
I'm going to go with, Brian said, he gave a couple of names. Not sure what's going to go on. I want to say Robert Spillane, but I kind of also want to put a / Avery Williamson in there. I feel like if you're going to make a trade for a guy, you got to give him an option, like to give him a chance to go out and prove himself. I feel like if there's a game that you're going to kind of, get him out there, but he and Spillane are pretty similar. When you look at like Jeffrey Benedict did a good film room breakdown on what he does well and what he struggles with. Mark Andrews is going to be a threat. He didn't do much in the last time they played. Mark Andrews is going to be a concern that sometimes falls on the inside linebackers. I'd like a little bit more athleticism out there. We'll see. Dave, what were your thoughts?
And that's why I almost went with Terrell Edmonds, because I think that's going to be your matchup with Andrews a lot of the times. So
if Edmonds can play like he did last week, then go. Yeah, that's fine.
And my thing is, I think if you're really going to see a jump from Avery Williamson, I think it's going to be the following week if it's not this week, because if they play on Thursday and get that mini bye and then come out against the football team, I think that'd be a good chance to maybe see him some more.
It's a good point. Matt, I think it's Stofko. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. He said, just make what's left of the Bengals the AFC North practice squad. The Bengals are banged up. I don't want to kick. Well, I don't want to kick them when they're down. Actually, I do. That's fine.
Not them, okay. Just their fans.
Just their fans, yeah. The crying Bengals lady. All right.
The Esco losers.
The Esco losers. All right, let's ready for some over-under. Got some different ones today.
Hey, all right. We didn't hit the injury report. I could do it in less than 30 seconds.
Go for it. Sure.
Okay. Just so everyone out there that's listening knows, there was 2 players that did not practice for coach's decision. That was DeCastro and Pouncey. Cam Hayward and Ben Roethlisberger were both listed as limited. They were listed as not injury related for the Monday's hypothetical. They put Ben with a quad and Hayward with an ankle for today. I think they just did that to have a reason of why they were limited, rather than say they were limited for a coach's decision, when really I think it was about a coach's decision, personally. And then there was still no Trey Edmonds, still no Jalen Samuels, no Joe Hayden, and Juju was limited. So wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Marlon Humphrey intentionally gets a pass interference early in the game just to see if Juju will step on the flag again.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right, thank you for that. Let's do a little over-under. Over-under. Okay, let's go with, as Dave said, the last time Ben Roethlisberger was sacked in a game was against the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Has not been sacked since. So I'm going to set the sack line for the Ravens at 1. Over-under. Dave?
Push.
Okay, Brian Anthony Davis.
I'm going to go 2. Over.
Okay, so you take the over and take the under.
Clean. 0. I'd hope it. That'd be great.
Clean. Okay. Sacks for the Steelers on Lamar Jackson. We're going to go 4. You keep it even. Say 4. Let's go with Dave. That's the number he was thinking.
Push.
Go push it.
I'm trying to come up with the number and then give my answer.
All right, Brian Anthony Davis.
Well, I like how he used to be the king of wishful thinking. Now he was go westing it. Now he's Matchbox 20. I want to push you around. Push. No, I'm not pushing. Hey, let's go ahead. 4. I'm thinking I'm going to take the under. I'm going to go 3.
And Brian, you've got it wrong. It's salt and pepper with push it
real good.
Okay, we've had enough. All right. If you're listening in audio, thank God you're listening in audio, because Brian was just doing some dance. I don't know. He's twerking a little bit. Okay.
Oh, no. I'm never going to get that out of my head. Why would you say that?
All right. I'm actually going to go with over. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with over. I think they get him.
Went over.
I think I'm going to go with 5, because Lamar will have those plays where he might even have like a draw, or he's just kind of running. He looks like he might be running, but they get him behind the line of scrimmage. It goes in as a sack. They might get a couple of those. I will say over. I got to put this in there every week. Why? They've won 10 games in a row, and this kid scored 10 touchdowns. Chase Claypool touchdowns, over under 1.5. Dave, go ahead.
I'm going under with 1.
All right, Brian Anthony Davis.
Let's go over with 2.
I'm with Brian. I'm going over with 2. And he might have a rushing in there too. So that would be one of them. Ben Roethlisberger passing yards, 290 over under. Brian, we'll start with you this time.
Over. I really think that they're pushing the run, pushing the pass here.
Okay. Dave, 290.
Over.
Ooh. All right. I'm gonna go under. I'll say like 275. It's gonna have a good game, but I don't think he's gonna need to go off. Ben Roethlisberger touchdowns, 2.5. Brian, start with you.
I like 3 every week for this guy.
Okay. Dave?
I'm going over this week too.
All right. I'll take the over at 3 as well. James Conner rushing yards, 80. 80 is the number. Brian, what do you think?
120, boys. Over.
Start him in your fantasy. Dave Schofield, what do you think?
Over 94.
Okay. I'm going to take the over, but like Dave, not by much.
Didn't I take 72 last week?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I picked 72 last week.
I don't even remember what my number was for him last week.
Because I just came up with a random number.
Okay. What did he have? 89
or something?
Yeah, he had 89, I think.
No, maybe 72 was what the Jacksonville guy was going to do, and that's what he did or something. I can't remember. I got one of them right.
We have four left. We'll do the next 2 real quick.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers, turning the ball over, 1.5. Brian.
I'm going to go under. I think they get one, but under.
Dave?
So you're saying turnovers, not takeaways. I'm going under, although I wouldn't be shocked if both teams just turned it over like crazy.
Under. They stay clean. Okay, next we'll go with takeaways. Pittsburgh Steelers takeaways. Defensive takeaways will set 2.5. Brian.
I'm going to actually say under with 2.
Okay. Dave?
I'm going over with 3.
I'm with Dave. I'm thinking 3. All right, last 2. Lamar Jackson passing yards over under 215. Dave Schofield, we'll start with you this time.
Believe it or not, I'm going to say over.
Okay. Brian.
I think they're going to be behind, and he's going to have to try to throw. Right. And he's going to throw interceptions because of that too.
Naturally. Brian?
Willie Snead and Hollywood Brown, they're wangs. They belong on that team, but they always play well against Pittsburgh. They're going to do something annoying after they catch the ball too. He's going to have, I'm not saying 300, but he's going to have well above that.
I'll take over, say around 240. And then Lamar Jackson rushing yards over under 55. Dave, we'll start with you.
Oh, I'm going with over. He's the leading rusher on their team. Okay. So especially without Ingram and Dobbins, I think you're going to see him carry the ball.
Last 3 games, he averaged 54 points. Just so
I know.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
I'm going to say slightly over. He is not breaking the century mark, but I'm looking about 70 for this guy.
Okay, I'll say over, but not by much. All right, let's get to our line so we can do our predictions. Dave, what is the current line on this game?
Okay, the current line actually has changed a bunch. It's funny because I wrote the article that when it was 3.5, and then before it published, I had to change it because it went to 4.5, and then when I did a different article, I had to change it. I had to write it down at 4, and right now it is at 5.5 in the favor of the Steelers. So it's moved a lot, 5.5, and the over-under keeps dropping. It's now down to 44.5.
Vegas knows something. Vegas knows. All right, Brian, prediction time. Put up or shut up time.
Okay, yeah, just don't look at my tally site this weekend because I was looking at a 4.5 game spread, and I think the Steelers are going to win this game. Mm-hmm. As far as I think the Ravens are going to cover, though. I think it's going to be
going 3-pointer.
I'm looking at 27-23 Steelers.
Okay, I can see that. As long as Justin Tucker's not out there, I'm fine with that. Dave Schofield, what's your prediction?
I am throwing everything that I think that I should think out the window. I am tired of overthinking it because it's what I do. I try to break down the numbers. I'm going to think of one thing, and that is the Steelers at home on Thursday night with putting up crazy numbers. They put up over 40 on Tennessee. They put up over 50 on Carolina, their last 2 home Thursday night games. I'm not going that far, but I'm going that they're going to have the most points of the season so far. I'm going 39-27.
Ooh, I like it. I could basically sum up my prediction into two
That's
words.
over, by the way.
Yes, I know. I could sum up my prediction into two words. Color rush. Steelers 33, Baltimore 24. Steelers 33, Baltimore 24. I think it's going to be close early. The key to this game, folks, is that the Steelers offense cannot come out of the gates in either half and fall flat on their face like they did in Jacksonville. 0 points in the first and third quarters cannot happen for the Steelers. Cannot do it. The offense has to come out and look better than they did. Although if I'm Mike Tomlin and we win the toss, I'm still not putting my offense on the field first. As much as I want them to get out and get a lead, put the defense out there, let them do their thing. They'll get their possession eventually. But I say 33-24. Brian said 27-23. Yes. And Dave's 39-26.
No, I said 27.
Okay.
And I know some people are like, that's a lot of points. You know why? Because when you put up a lot of points and you're winning by a good bit, at the end they're going to be giving up some points. That's just
a lot of these Thursday night games, I don't have the statistics to back it up, but it just seems like when you watch them, sometimes it's just a little bit more loose because they haven't had as much time to prepare. Yeah. And what's crazy is I think a lot of fans realize that, believe it or not, the Steelers probably started preparing for this game at about Thursday last week. They've already had their Jaguars game plan put in, and they're starting to look ahead to the Baltimore game. It's not that they're overlooking. It could have been switched, and they probably would have done the same thing, just not as – anyways. Okay, let's go to trivia. Trivia time. Dave, take it away.
Yeah, I wanted to try to do something kind of fun like last week. I mean, I have some good stats I get to use for Stat Geek, though it'll come out in my numbers article. This is just a couple of these I'm just going to ask, did you know? Did you know that, Ben Roethlisberger does have a winning record against the Baltimore Ravens? He's 16-10. Do you know what his home record is?
Against the Ravens, it's very good. He has like over 100 rating, I think, at home against Baltimore.
Including playoffs, because
they did lose in 2014. But go ahead.
11-4.
Ooh.
11-4 with Roethlisberger games. Okay. But here's a little one that you might want to know. No, this isn't the Steelers. This is Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger playing at home on a Thursday. 7-0. 7-0. But here's going to be my ultimate trivia question for you to kind of go along with some of this Ben stuff. Ben Roethlisberger got his 10th win of the season this past Sunday. He started 10 games. He's won all 10. It is the 8th time he has 10 wins in a season, or Ben has 10 wins in a season. You get it right if you can name all 7 of the other ones, and you have to both agree on it without getting one wrong. Name the 7 seasons Ben Roethlisberger has 10 or more wins.
Okay,
I'm checking them off.
2004.
Do you agree, Brian?
Yes.
That is correct.
Let's say no to 2005.
No, it wasn't 2005. 10 or more, you said?
10 or more.
Let's go 2017, the 13-3 season.
Do you agree, Jeff?
Yep.
That is correct.
2014? No, they were wild card that year, but I think they still had more than 10 wins, didn't they, Brian?
Yeah, but he was out. He was out a little bit that season.
Oh, so this is not the Steelers. This is Ben has to win 10.
Ben Roethlisberger.
So he has to be the
starter and have gotten 10 wins. So you got
2016. They were in the AFC Championship game.
Do you agree with that one, Brian? 2016?
2016. Yeah, but here's the thing. Wasn't he hurt for 1 or 2 of those games?
He was hurt every year except for like 2.
That's the year they started out 5-6 or 4-5 or something like that. So that's pretty tough. I'm not going to say 16. I don't agree with 16.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm waiting for you guys to
2008.
I'll go with 8.
2010.
2008 is correct.
2010, they went to the Super Bowl 45. I think they had 10 wins that year.
Wait. Hold on a second. They went 3-1 without Ben.
In 2010.
Yeah, in 2010, because he was suspended the first 4 games of the season. So you've got to think.
Didn't they finish like 12-4? That would only be 9 wins, though. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to say no.
All right. This is going to take a long time, Dave.
Come on. I will tell. Okay.
Let's go ahead and take a look at 2015.
Sure, we'll go with that.
No, he's hurt a lot.
2015. Are you agreeing on that one?
Sure.
Yeah,
Then we are done because in
very good.
2015 he was only 7-4. Only played. Technically, he won an extra game in there, but he didn't start it. Remember, that was the whole Cleveland Brown ones. That one was they were close. But you guys, 2016 he was 10-4. Okay. I still can't believe he didn't get what people call Ben's best season of 2014 when he was 11-5. He did not miss any games in 2014.
I overruled Jeff on that. So that's
yeah. So Jeff would have had that one. 2011, he was 11-4. And last but not least, 2007, he was 10-5.
Not too bad. Not a bad showing. No. I want to get this up here before we go to our bold predictions. Isaac Aguilera gives us $5. He said, quick question. Has Lance been picking against the Steelers every week? Miss that guy, LOL.
He has not. How's he, Brian?
No, he's we're on that text chain with him, and he doesn't. In fact, I think he's picked the Steelers almost every single week.
There was one time I reported that he didn't. It was against the Browns that he picked they were going to lose to the Browns, and I said it on the Scobro show. And then by the weekend, he texted us again, and like the other one never happened. Steelers are winning this week by blah 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 blah. And so technically, I think he's picked him.
So he was redeemed. I guess he's not the guy. He's not the naysayer this year, I guess.
Yeah. So.
All right, so let's go to our bold prediction segment. This is where obviously we try to leave dogs out of it for Brian Anthony Davis's typical and Kylo Ren helmets for his typical bold and bizarre prediction article that runs on game day So you'll see it on Thursday at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com as he gets ready for the game. But guys, what's your bold prediction? Did anyone get one right last week? I'm trying to remember.
Brian missed his shutout.
That's right. That's right. He missed the shutout.
I said Gentry would catch a pass, and that didn't happen. And,
I think I said the trifecta for Watt, TJ Watt, didn't I?
Yeah.
Turnover, sack, and
I had then I had about the defensive lineman not being on the team. That hasn't happened, but I had one before that. I can't remember what it was. So,
okay. Anyways, Brian? We'll start with you. What's your bold prediction for this week?
All right, Deontay Johnson and Marcus Peters are going to get into a fight. I will say that is definitely going to happen. Peters is going to be the ultimate wang at the end of this game. Everybody's going to hate this guy more and more each week. Every time they play, he's the bad guy on Baltimore. But as far as on the actual playing field, I'm looking at Anthony McFarland Jr. to break one long. I'm not saying it's a touchdown. He's going to have a run over 25 yards.
All right. Very good. Dave Schofield, what's your bold prediction?
I remember mine from last week. It was a Ray touchdown, and that didn't happen. I'm going out there.
Okay.
I'm going way out there. I'm going 3 touchdowns for Deontay Johnson.
Ooh, okay.
You know what? I believe that.
All right. Hey, that's fine. I'm going to say this is maybe some might say this isn't that bold, but I'm going to predict another defensive touchdown in this game.
See, I got that right the last time they played the Ravens.
Well, yeah, Mitch.
I said that one team would have a defensive touchdown and that team would win by less than a touchdown. So it would, and I think it's the only one I've got right all season.
I think that a defender's going to hit pay dirt again. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not going to, if I were to give a prediction, let's see here.
Well,
I want to say, huh?
I said I like that one though.
If I'm going to give, want me to give bold?
Okay.
Bold is Vince Williams. Vince Williams with a pick 6 rumbling into the end zone.
I was going to say Vince Williams gets an interception. But then I decided the Deontay Johnson one instead.
Okay, there you go. All right, guys, let's do final thoughts. You can do it's Thanksgiving style. You can do it however you want. Brian, we'll start with you.
My favorite holiday, my favorite team. It's a recipe for fun. Now, at the Davis household this year, it's just going to be the four of us, and the dogs. We are not celebrating Thanksgiving outside of the family just because of health concerns. So it's going to be us. And we're going to watch the game together. And we watched the game together last week against Jacksonville for the first time, I think, it might be ever, that the four of us sat down and watched the game. And it's going to make it even more special. At the end of this game, Wang Harbaugh is going to be crying, and we're going to be celebrating. This is going to be a great Thanksgiving memory. It is going to be 2 in a row now on Thanksgiving after never winning on Turkey Day.
Very nice. Very nice. Dave Schofield.
It's the Ravens, and I don't care who's not playing. I don't care anything else. It's just one of those things that anything can happen when these two teams play. So you've got to remember that. And you've also got to remember, don't lose heart, Steeler fans, if it doesn't start off well, because we know what happened the last time they played. It started off terrible. Other than the pick six, the offense could do nothing in the first half, and this team figured out a way to turn it around. I am not believing that this team is ever out of a game until the zeros hit. So enjoy this, because the one good thing is, the thing that's the extra icing on the cake, yes, the Steelers, they actually mathematically have a chance to lock up a playoff spot this weekend. There'll be an article about that tomorrow at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. But most importantly is they can keep that purple team. They can mathematically eliminate them from AFC North contention, when it wasn't up until a few weeks ago, even after the Steelers beat them the first time, that they weren't favored to win it more than the Steelers were, and they could actually eliminate them from that picture in week 12. Let's get it done. Can't wait. Color rush. I'll be in it, and I'll be ready to be jumping up and down and screaming at my TV like I normally do.
It's all good stuff. My final thoughts are, I hope that the Steeler fan, I'm thankful for the fan base. I'm thankful for the people that are in our live chat every single show. I'm thankful for the people that read our website, the people that listen to our morning podcast, whether it's Dave's Stat Geek or my Let's Ride or Brian's Fact or Fiction and the Rooting Guide. The people that just love the Steelers so much, and they equal our fandom, that we've kind of created this bubble. It's a pretty big bubble, actually, but it's really impressive, and I'm really thankful for everyone that's a part of this. And that's our staff, our writers, our podcasters. As a co-editor, I can't say it enough. They are unbelievably professional. They are unbelievably responsible. It makes our jobs that much easier, and I can't say how great it is to work with all these individuals. But for me personally, I'm excited for this one because, like I said earlier, I haven't seen my brother since February of this year. And I'm really excited to be able to sit down, spend some time with family. It's not going to be a big gathering, just my parents, my brother, and my family, and his wife. And it's,
your family alone.
My family is a big gathering. I'm sorry. There's some states we can't even go out to dinner as a family. It's too many people. So, but honestly, I don't get to watch a lot of games with my dad and my brother anymore. And so I'm just going to take it all in, and it's going to be fun. And so make sure that wherever if you love the content, we're not going anywhere. Even though it's Thanksgiving, we'll be on after the game talking about it, just like we normally do on the post-game show, Thanksgiving or not. So real quick, Snowman gave us $5. Happy Thanksgiving to my Steelers family. Be thankful for family and friends. Amen to that. Thank you very much, Snowman. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the tip. Folks, that's it. Steelers could be 11-0 the next time we meet. It will be next Thursday for the Steelers preview. We will be back on our regular schedule as of next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving on behalf of Behind the Steel Curtain staff and podcasters. We appreciate you. Be safe out there. Go Steelers.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hey.
Good. What a way to end it.